Hello. So I'm going to change up the format here today. I'm tired of PowerPoint. So today we're going to talk about the math of good business. And what I want to talk about is numbers. So in business, one of the things that happens is we spend a lot of time on numbers, right? We spend a lot of time looking at numbers. Numbers take up a lot of our headspace. And there's math involved there. Today, we're just going to talk about the numbers and the quantities, really. But not all of the numbers that we're looking at actually help us or serve us or really even do us any good. Often, we give headspace, way more headspace, to numbers that don't do us any good than we give to the ones that are useful. So, I think it's really important to sort of work through and decide which ones matter and which ones don't. So I have pretty strong feelings about this in particular. As a math person, I like my numbers to have context. I like them to be meaningful. And I think numbers that come out of a tool, for example, Facebook, are missing so much of that, yet we give them so much power. So for me, in most cases, there are a whole list, oh, that's a loud marker, of numbers that don't actually matter. And it starts with any kind of engagement scores from Facebook, truly. And I can't make I was trying to flip my whiteboard because it wasn't backwards yesterday, but now also all the menu buttons on Zoom are gone. So I don't know what to do. So engagement is one, like the Facebook engagement score. Is engagement based on what? Like nothing. And it goes up and down. You could do the same thing every day and it could go up and down. You don't have any context. The next thing is likes and loves. What happens is when we focus on those quantities, we forget that there are tons of people interacting with our content that are doing so without telling us. They can read what you're saying, take in what you're saying, and not click anything. And you can make a difference in their day without them clicking, without them telling you. Another number people obsess over is followers. And here's the thing about this followers number. And I feel like this is the same thing for the number of people in your group or the number on your email list, however it is that you're collecting people. So for me, these are numbers that don't really matter. And I know that that is not the popular opinion on the internet. And I am not saying that you shouldn't build a following. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a group and that you shouldn't track those numbers. I track all of these numbers actually. But what I don't do is spend any energy on them. Because what happens, what I know, is that they're in a lot of ways vanity numbers. They make us feel better than they actually do us good. So you can have a group or an email list with 10 people and you can get business from it. You can have a group or an email list with 10,000 people and get nothing from it. What that tells us, and you know examples like this, you know people with huge Instagram followings, with huge Facebook followings, and they don't really get anywhere with it. It just becomes something they have to manage. What we do is we focused on these things at the cost of the things that could actually move us further faster. We track these because they're easy numbers to grab. They're right in front of us. Facebook serves them right to us. Your email provider serves them right to you. It tells you your stats every week, and all that's great. But if you're using them to decide things, if you're using them to drive your business and it's not going well, it's because they're kind of made up numbers. They don't actually necessarily, there's no causality there, Having a lot of followers doesn't mean you have a thriving business. Having 10 followers doesn't mean you don't. Having a lot of engagement doesn't mean anybody's buying from you. Having no engagement doesn't mean they're not. Just means they're not connecting with you there. So it's okay to track these things, but it's not okay to give them all your brain space. So if these are not the things, if these are not your primary data source, what is? Because if you're not using data on some way, right, you're missing out. Numbers do matter. Like, I am a math person. I love numbers and I use a lot of them. So this is a really skewed picture. The other options are to pick data points that are within your control, that you know all of the context around, right? For me, the number one indicator here is income. That's a number you should have at your fingertips. And if you don't, month to month, week to week, day to day, something is wrong, because CEOs don't hide from their money. They don't hide from income going up or down. They don't hide from knowing it. If you're going to be a business owner, you have to know those numbers. You may not like them. That's okay. Your brain has more of a problem with the not knowing than the knowing, to be quite honest with you. So there are a couple of ways I usually propose to people to track this. Generally speaking, all it takes is a simple spreadsheet. Like, you can track the month and then the income. If income comes to you from more than one source that you're trying to track the income, the source, or sorry, the month, source. That's fine. I have a client who spends some of her time doing things for people and some of her time consulting. What she's going to do is track month, money done for, money consulting. That's fine. But she's got to know what's coming in from where. If you don't know and you're like, well, it's around, what you're doing is giving your brain space to argue it. You're like, oh, I'm not making enough money. Well, actually, do you even know what you're making? Because if you don't, something's off. The other thing to consider here is, if your income comes in week to week, or it's project-based, or it's hourly, then give yourself a way to track that. So like, I have one client who works on a project basis. For her, what she's tracking is income, but also the size of an average project and what the average hourly price is that they're paying her. Some jobs cost more than others, but her income increases if her average hourly rate increases. Her income increases if her average job size increases. But you can't know and predict out what's going to happen and see trends if you don't have any of that data. And this is data that is actually hers. Business that has come in, business that she's bid on, business that she's completed, right? It's her data. She knows all of the things about it. There's no lack of context around it. So this is really important. If you Zoom just disappeared for a second. I don't know what will happen in the recording for this. So if you're not tracking this, you should be. Okay, please start. Or if you're not tracking it well, it's time to get better, right? The second thing I think that really matters to track in some way, shape, or form, especially early in business, is offers. Now that sounds crazy, but most people don't track the numbers of offers they make. And what happens as a result is you're probably not making as many as you should or could. When you start to pay attention, and really tracking is a function of paying attention. When you start to really pay attention to how often you're saying to somebody in a post, in a video, in an email, in person, out loud, at networking, however it is you're making offers, there's so many ways. If you're not tracking this in some way, you're probably not doing it enough. Your brain is going to offer you that, like, if you made one offer this week, that was plenty. And you're like, oh, but I told people they should come work with me on Monday. I'm not going to tell them again until next week. Listen, you can tell them every day. Like, my goal is always to make an offer every day. Sometimes it's 2 or 3, depends on the day. Might be in a post, might be in a video, might be then I talk to someone one-on-one, might be I go to a networking event. Whatever happens, happens. But when you start to track them, all of a sudden you get a sense of how, far out you're truly stepping. And I would say 99 times out of 100, the minute clients start to track this, they're like, oh, boy, I'm not making very many offers. And then, so the result of this is if you're not offering to help people, people are not coming to you. Well, yeah, because you didn't tell them what you have. So if you're not sure if you're making enough offers, this is something really helpful to track. This is a number to keep in mind. I have clients that set goals every month for the numbers of offers they want to make and the different ways they want to make them. The easiest way I know to track this is legitimately like something I'm doing right now. I have a sticky note on my desk. It's not about offers, but it's about something else. But what I do is I take a sticky note and I stick it right on my desk, right where I can see it, and I write offers at the top of it. And every time I make one, I make a tally mark. That's it. But what you can do is put like the sticky note April, because right now it's April. And then every time you make an offer, make a tally mark on the sticky note. And week to week, over the course of the month, you'll get to see like, oh, wait, this week, weird. It doesn't feel like anybody is reaching out to me. Oh, wait, I only made one offer. It's a way of taking responsibility for your results. Because if you're not offering, people are not coming. Like, this is how it works. They're going to be engaged with your offers as you are. So if you are engaging with them saying, hey, I'm here to help, they're going to engage back with you. This is really important. Okay. And it doesn't matter what you're offering. Are you selling shoes? Are you selling design? Are you selling coaching? Are you selling teaching? Are you selling yoga classes? Are you selling, it doesn't matter, photography? Are you selling helping companies communicate with each other better? Are you selling engaging people in a business? Doesn't matter what you're selling. More offers, more direct offers, more in every form we can possibly imagine offers are always better. And no, people are not going to get tired of you. I promise. Think about the people you follow. I would bet you $100 right now that you follow someone who makes an offer at least once a day and you love everything that they say. And you don't think, oh my God, they should stop selling to me. You think like, oh, it would be really nice to work with them. And yet it's okay for them and not okay for you. So from here, often I find that the numbers after this, and there are more that matter, but very often they're specific to your business. So, and they depend on your goals. For example, for me, one of the other things I track is new conversations. For me, what counts as a new conversation is one-on-one conversation over Zoom or in person, over Zoom basically though, with somebody I've not met before where we both tell each other what we do. That's what counts here. For me, one of the things I believe as a business owner and one of the things I teach people is that if you're trying to sell to other people, which you are, you can't do that without having conversations. Literally, it's impossible to sell things to people unless you're talking to them. So for me, tracking new conversations is a really useful way for me to make sure I'm out in the world connecting. Like I have a goal this year to have 200 new one-on-one conversations. Right now I'm at, let's see, it's April, I'm at almost 40. I don't know if I'll get to 200, but having that big goal pushes me to make sure I'm having conversations. Another thing that I track that's specific to my business is asking for help. One of the things I saw early on is that I tend to, and we all do this, I tend to be ready and willing and able and happy to help everyone else. But when it comes time for me to ask for help, I'm like, ooh, I have to figure this out myself. No. And I have lots of friends, and I have a coaching group. I have a coaching mastermind I'm just finishing up now. I have all these resources that I can use for asking for help. I have a coach, and yet I still didn't all the time. And so for me, asking for help became something I tracked, because one of my fundamental beliefs is that I have to be learning. I have to be growing. I have to be doing new things and stretching myself in order to be the best coach I can be for my clients. So if I'm not asking for help, I am doing them a disservice because I'm not doing my work. So what matters for you is definitely income and offers, but might also be things like connections and asking for help. Then I have other clients where we pick other numbers for them to track. But often it's one of these four. So what you ought to do, what would be helpful probably, is to sit down and think like, okay, what numbers really matter in my business? What am I trying to accomplish? Is it, I have a client that tracks how often she pitches speaking opportunities because that's really a wonderful way for her to create business. So the more she's pitching speaking, the better things are going. So if she's not pitching, something's wrong. What are the numbers that matter for you, and how do you want to track them? The whole point of all of this is to have a sense of your numbers so that you know where you stand. You know that you are doing the work that you need to do for your business. Likes and followers don't necessarily give you that. Sometimes like 20 followers will show up somewhere out of nowhere, and it's like, well, how did I create that? But the income you create, the offers you make, the conversations you start, those are all under your control. They are all within your power. So think about what numbers you want to track and why, and how they're going to help you lead your business. And so those are the details. The offer is this from me. If you're not sure how to track or why, or you're not sure what you want to track in terms of income, you're not making enough offers, you don't have the income, you're not sure what your math is, this is my jam. Like, I love the numbers part of this, but I promise that we focus on it in a really practical way. We do it so that you can do all the things that you are doing more effectively. And we use all of this information to help you make excellent decisions, because that's what data does for us. Data helps us make better decisions. And if you don't have any data, the decisions are just sort of make believe. So if I can help you do that, please, I'm happy to. This is what I do as a coach. All you need to do is reach out and schedule a time to chat. You can go to my website, or you can just send me a message. You can reply to email, whatever works, and we'll set up a time to talk about it. Like, worst case, you walk away and you're like, no, it's not a good fit, and we move on. Either way, you walk away clearer about your numbers. Hey, and the doggies are about to start participating. The last thing I want to tell you is that I opened up the second round of my Teachers in Business Mastermind today. The mastermind is a small group. Hey, if you could see what's going on in the background here, hold on. That's what's going on behind the screen. Hi, doggies. How about we stop? So the second round of my Teachers in Business Mastermind opened today. It is a small group where we focus on growing business more effectively without it being so complicated, without all the drama. We experiment, we test things out, and then we also, hey, Luna, I better make this fast before the dog starts to talk to me. Come here. We also focus on on really building the systems and the processes that you need to grow right now. The group is small, it is capped at 6. So if it's something you might be interested in doing, you should reach out sooner than later because it is going to fill up fast. I'm happy to schedule a time to talk. Usually it takes about 30 minutes for us to go through the details and we go from there. So thank you. I look forward to learning more about your numbers. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll talk to you soon.